Hello. Today I'm going to try to answer the question, what makes a group of people good at a sport? I often believe that population size, prosperity, culture, and genetics contribute to a group's success in a sport. Although I don't have any data on genetics, we will look at the other three. I found two data sets on Kaggle that we will combine to make tables. The first data set involves every Olympic entry dating back to 1896, which is when the Olympics were revived. And the second data set is standard country data such as populations and GDP and other metrics for countries. So the first block here is just importing libraries that we're going to use, and then here our second block is importing our data through CSVs. And so our first table here, just a snippet of we can look at, is our Olympic medal data. And you can see we have stuff such as name, sex, age, height, weight, and then notice we have team name, which is usually the country, and then NOC, which is the Olympic Committee's code, and then over here at the very end we have the medal, and NAN stands for not a number or basically no medal, and you see right down here we have a gold medal entry. And here's our other data set, which is the country data set, and like I said, we have some pretty standard metrics for countries: region, population, area, GDP per capita, stuff like that. So, like I said, all these first rows are going to build out tables, clean the data, and combine it so that we can make visualizations for stuff that we want to look into. Our analysis kind of begins down here, and if you want to see more of that, I'm going to make a video on combining and cleaning the data. So here's our first plot, and what we did was we created a new calculated field called medal score, which is a pretty simple calculation. Counted a gold medal is 3, a silver medal is 2, a bronze medal is 1, and no medal is 0. And we took the sum and grouped it by country for every country in our data set. And what we've done here is plotted the top 10 countries from medal scores of all time. And what we can see is USA is out in front with a heavy lead, and then Germany and Great Britain are in a close battle for second. But it's mostly European countries or heavily influenced European countries such as USA and Canada. So it does kind of seem like we have a strong support for culture having a huge say in whether a country will be good at the Olympics. So like I said, this did go back all the way to 1896. So this next plot is going to look at just 2016 medals. See a lot of the same countries still out front, but we now see China is in the top 10, and we also see Japan in the top 10. So we see two non-European countries coming in here to the top 10. And yeah, we are confirming that our earliest entries do come from 1896 here with this line. So it does seem like culture has a pretty strong effect. So now let's look at population. So we have plotted here population versus the medal score, and there is a correlation. It would appear that more population, the higher the medal score is, but it's not super strong, and we do have some outliers. This first dot here is the United States. So they don't have the largest population, but as you can see, they have a very high medal score. And then we have India here with a very large population, but a low medal score, and China is in the same boat as India. So just created a table to show this, so we know which countries are out here, and this is sorted by medal score. So it's the same from the above plot, but just now we can kind of see their numbers. We also did the same, but we reversed, or we sorted this time by population, so we can see the big population of countries: China, India with low medal scores, United States, third largest population, very high medal score, but then we also see Indonesia, the very, very low medal score. Bangladesh never won an Olympic medal, even though they are in the top 10 countries for population. So it doesn't seem that population is enough to get you success in the Olympics. Here's our next plot, and this is, I mentioned We also filtered it by year. So this is the same plot, but now we're looking at only medals from 2016. And it seems like the correlation this time is stronger, but we do still have our same big outliers. And we also have a very big concentration of data here in this bottom left corner, showing that there's a lot of countries that don't even have 200 million people, which isn't too surprising, but you know, our x-axis goes up to 1.3 billion thanks to China. So it does seem like we have a lot of countries down here in the bottom left. So we're just going to look at the distribution of population here in our data, and we can see the mean here is at about 7 million. So half of the countries have less than 7 million, and 25% are about 2 million or less. So yeah, very low populations, a lot of these countries. And 75%, I think this is probably even more interesting, 75% are at about 22 million or greater. So, or I mean, I'm sorry, 25% of the top population countries are at 22 million. So there's not a lot of countries over 20 million people. So that got me thinking, is there a certain threshold for where a country has enough population that they can be successful in the Olympics? So what I did was I filtered out countries that have a medal score 1, so they've done the bare minimum to be successful in the Olympics, and then sorted that by population. And we can see United Arab Emirates here is the lowest population with bare minimum having medal score. So about population about 2.5 million, and they have had a bronze medal. So what if we cut out the outliers of all these small countries that don't have enough population to get over the threshold, and then we also cut out the outliers such as USA, China, and India that have large populations and large economies. So that's what this plot is. We are going from 20 million to 100 million, so we're kind of right in the middle. And it's a much better correlation. You can see our confidence interval, which is this shaded blue area, is much smaller. So we're much more confident in this prediction. And yeah, so we see a little stronger correlation with population in here. One of the next things we wanted to look at was does prosperity affect a country's success in the Olympics? And it's often believed that this, does affect somebody's success in sports because they have more access to equipment and training and just more leisure time in general to train. So here we've plotted GDP and medal score, and we have a much stronger correlation than just our population. We still have a big cluster here in the bottom left, and here we have USA with the biggest economy, and then we have China with the second biggest economy, and they seem to be in a very similar trend compared to their population plots, so that is a little better. And so we just made a quick table of that to show the top 10, and here we have United States, China, and Japan, 3 biggest economies, and their medal scores kind of line up. But notice India is a pretty large outlier here in 2016. They have a medal score of 3, so despite having a large GDP, they did not see much success in the Olympics, but every other country seems to kind of fall in line here in this table. So that begs the question back to culture. How much does culture affect this? And we know that like the USA obviously is very successful in Olympics, but if we were to do the same thing with World Cup data, they would be at the very bottom of success because USA does not put a lot of priority in soccer. It's not our favorite sport. So we're going to take a deeper look at culture, and we're going to make a pivot table, and we're going to sum up the medal scores based on their regions. So we're going to bring it together on regions, and that's what this bar plot is showing here. And we can see Western Europe is way out in front now with the highest medal score, and then we have North America coming in, and then Asia, and then this is the Commonwealth of Independent States, which is a post-Soviet Russia or USSR governing body. So it's kind of still very European. And then you see Eastern Europe still pretty strong in here, and then Oceania, which is primarily Australia population-wise, so it is also very heavily European influenced. But then we're going to take this even a step further, and we're going to look at metal score per capita, or a metal score per person. So, and then we sorted this in a table, and we can see Oceania has the highest metal score per person. And Western Europe, and then Eastern Europe, North America, Baltics, and then the Russian states. So right here, top 6 are all very Western European, heavily influenced areas, and they seem to be at the forefront and dominating the Olympics. So yeah, I would say that culture has a strong effect on predicting a country's success in sport. And I think we could take this further by looking at individual events, and that might be what I do in my next video. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I appreciate your time.